Alright, welcome to Solving for X with word problems. Word problems are the trickiest, hardest part of math. And I'm going to do my best to give you some tricks that will help you figure it out. It's not always true, these tricks, and so they're just hard and it requires a lot of thinking. But I'm going to help you through it the best that I can. And so we're going to start with word problems when it comes to solving for X. So first, there's some words that really matter in word problems. They're kind of weird. For example, if you see twice, twice means 2 times. 2 times. And when I say times, I mean multiply. So if I say if I have 3 hats and you have twice as many as me, it means you have 2 times more. So you multiply my 3 by 2 and you'd have 6. So twice as many means 2 times more. I'll put more. Double also means times 2. So I'm just going to write times 2. Alright, so twice means times 2, double means times 2. Triple is our word to mean times 3. And quadruple is the word to mean times 4. You know what? I'm not going to write X on any of these 4 times because remember X doesn't mean multiply in high school. I'm going to put a little dot to say times 2, times 3, times 4. So we don't get confused with those X's. Because we want X to mean a number we don't know and not, yes. So this is times. Okay? If they want to say anything higher than times by 4, they're going to say 5 times as many, 6 times as many, 7 times as many. There's no special word for anything above 4. Alright, then you get into fractions or division. If you ever see half of, or just the word half, it means divide by 2, or 1 divided by 2, it's the fraction. It's a fraction that means half. A third, if you say A means 1, and third is our word for divide by 3. So a third is written as 1 over 3. If I ever said 2/3, it would be 2 over 3. Then fourth is the word for dividing by 4. Fourth. They also use a quarter of. And if something's a quarter of something, it's a fourth of something. It means the same thing. It's just a special word that means a fourth. And then for the rest of the fractions, they're going to say things like a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. If it ends in th, it means it's a fraction, so you're dividing by the 5, 1 divided by 5. And it just means it's a fraction. And it's the fraction times it, because the word of means multiply. So if you ever see a third of, it means a third times that. Okay? Because remember, timesing by a third is the same thing as dividing by 3. So that's what all these words mean. So, when you have word problems, you're sort of looking for 3 things. In order to help point them out, I'm going to highlight them. Right? So one thing you're looking for in all of these, and I'm going to do this in this blue, is anything that tells you the total, or sum, or the amount that you have at the end, right? You're looking for a total. You're also looking for something that has an X with it. You're looking for the thing you do not know, right? X is the thing we don't know. And so you're looking for what we don't know. And what's happening to it. So like, if there's something I don't know, like let's go back to the hat metaphor. You have twice as many hats as I do. What you don't know, if I say I have 3, you don't know how many you have. Right? And so that's what you're looking for, is what you don't know and what's happening to it. The third thing you're looking for, which I'll underline in the dark blue, is any sort of starting amounts. Any sorts of extra thing that's going on. that's not exactly what's happening to the thing you don't know, but what's being a piece of information. It's like the extra piece of info. We're looking for extra information. So let's start with the first one. It says, Jan spent $42 for shoes. Right away, I know that's my total. That's how much she spent. In total, she spent $42. So I'm going to highlight this in this blue because that's what she spent. This was 14 less than twice what she spent for a blouse. How much was the blouse? So for the yellow, the what we don't know, you always look at the question. The question says how much was the blouse. The blouse is what we don't know. So she's saying, well, if I find where's the blouse in the question, besides at the end, it's up here, 14 less than twice of what she spent for the blouse. So what's going on to the thing we don't know? Well, it's twice of what she spent for the blouse. So that's the thing we don't know and what's happening to it. So usually what's happening to it is one of these words and the word of. So it's either going to be twice of, half of, a third of, and that's what we're looking for the yellow. The last thing is the extra thing that happened. Well, the extra piece of mathematical information we have is 14 less than. Okay, that's like our extra piece of information. So when I'm putting it all together into an equation, right? It doesn't matter if I start with the equation or what it equals. I'm going to put what it equals at the end. So I'm going to start with my yellow. Okay? Well, actually, I'm going to just start with the sentence. This was 14 less than. 14 less than means I'm going to subtract 14. Because it's less than something. Than what? So I'm going to put this minus 14 underlined in blue, because this was the blue. What is it 14 less than? Twice of whatever she spent for the blouse. Well, whatever she spent for the blouse is the thing we don't know, and that's X. And twice of that is timesing it by 2. Note that I put it in front of the minus 14. Anytime you see the word than, you can assume what comes next goes in front of what you just wrote. So 14 less is minus 14. The word than makes me think go in front of that and write twice what she spent for the blouse. And the blouse was what we didn't know, so that's where the yellow part came from. And all of this equaled her total, which was the 42 that she spent on shoes. So I'll put that at the end. And now I have my equation. And from here, it's a lot easier because you just solve for x like we've been doing. Since it's a minus 14, you get rid of the thing you're minusing or adding first. So I'm going to take my minus 14, put a plus 14, so it cancels, becomes 0. I have to do it to both sides. So I have two x's. This 14 minus 14 cancels. 42 plus 14 becomes 56. Then I divide both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2 that's being multiplied to x and find out that my x is 56 divided by 2, which is 28. So I know x is 28, but because this is a word problem, I may not leave this as my answer, because word problems require word solutions. So you have to answer the question. It says, how much was the blouse? You must say the blouse was $28. And that is your answer when it's a word problem. Alright, let's try the next one. Start with the total. Floyd is an aspiring musical artist. He has a record contract that pays him a base rate of $200 a month and an additional $12 for each album that he sells. Last month he earned a total of $644. Found my total. Alright, how many albums did he sell last month? So the question's about the albums he sold, so I'm going to look for my yellow for the thing we don't know about the word albums. Look, it says 12 for each album. So 12 for each one he sells. And then what's the extra piece of mathematical information? Well, he just gets a base rate of $200 a month, just because he's doing it, right? So if I write it all out, I'm going to start with the x term, which is the yellow, the thing we don't know. And it says 12 for each album. So $12 times however many albums he sells. And we don't know how many albums he sold, so that's where the X goes. So 12 times however many it ends up being. Plus, he just got paid $200 for doing this, right? So I'm just going to add, because he's going to make $12 per an album, plus $200 just because he did it, right? And then at the end, he had a total of $644. So I'm going to do my standard solve for X. Draw my line down the equal sign to separate the sides. Get rid of the thing I'm plus or minusing first. So I'm going to minus my 200 because it's a plus 200. Got to minus it from both sides. So I still have 12x. 200 subtract 200 is 0. So I don't write anything. And it's going to equal 600 minus 200, which is 444. Well then, to get x alone, this is still 12 times x, so I have to divide both sides by 12. So I find out that x equals 444 divided by 12, which is 37. Again, my answer needs to be a full sentence because the question asked me many albums did he sell last month. He sold 37 albums. Alright, go ahead and flip it over to the back for a couple more examples. Start with our total. Raymond just got done jumping at a super bounce trampoline center. The total cost of his session was $400, or $43.25. $43.25. He had to pay $7 at the entrance fee and $1.25 for every minute he was on the trampoline. How many minutes was he on the trampoline? So minutes is the thing I don't know. What do I know about minutes? He spent $1.25 for every minute he was there. The extra piece of information that we have is a $7 entrance fee. So if I start with my x's, and the thing I don't know, which is the thing I don't know, the yellow, it's $1.25 per minute. We don't know how many minutes there are, so we're just going to write x, because it's 125 times however many minutes. Then I need to add the $7 it costs him just to get in to the place. And finally, in total, when he was done, he paid $43.25. So I'm going to solve for x by subtracting the 7. $1.25, x, 7 minus 7, 0. 43.25 minus 7 is 36.25. Divide away the $1.25. And we find out that x is 36.25 divided by 125 is 29 minutes. So because they asked us how many minutes he was on the trampoline, he was on the trampoline for 29 minutes. And my answer is the full sentence responding to the question. We'll do one more. It says Larry has some books. He gives his brother a fourth of his books. His brother got 5 books. How many books did Larry start with? Well, the total was that his brother got 5 books. In total, he got 5 books. Right? The question is how many books did Larry start with? So it says that Larry gave his brother a fourth of his books. So however many books he had, he gives a fourth of them to his brother. But the extra piece of information is that minus 5. So it's a fourth minus 5. So when I go to write this as an equation, I start with my yellow, which is my x term because it's what I don't know, and it says a fourth. And remember, if it ends with th, it means it's a fraction, and fourth means 4, and means 1. There's 1/4 of his books. We don't know how many books he has though, so we put x. Remember, of means multiply. So 1/4 of x just means 1/4 x. Then the next piece of information is that we minus 5. Because it's a fourth of whatever he has minus 5. Gives the brother a total of 5 books. So we solve, we add the 5 to get rid of it. We do that first before we deal with the thing with x. 5 plus 5 is 10. To get rid of the fraction, we could either divide by the fourth or multiply by the bottom of the fraction, which is a 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Divided by 4 is just the 1x, but I don't have to write the 1. Or since I'm timesing the top and bottom, you can just say they cancel, so you're left with 1x. Equals 10 times 4, which is 40. So 40 is the answer to x, and the x was the thing we didn't know, which is how many books Larry started with. So Larry started with 40